This is Michael Popok with a Trump on trial update. Sometimes witnesses for the prosecution are deceptively short, but establish the groundwork and the spadework for future testimony. Sometimes it's unclear to the jury why they're being asked this witness about a particular set of dates, a particular location, to validate a email or a document, or to identify another witness. But it all comes out in the wash. It's all tied together eloquently by a prosecution team like the one in the Manhattan DA case against Donald Trump. Following the bombshell testimony by David Pecker, let me make it clear again. David Pecker pecked Donald Trump to death in his testimony. He killed Donald Trump in his testimony. He made all the points that were required. The jury's probably ready to vote against Donald Trump right now based on the former National Enquirer publisher's testimony. But they can't all be like David Pecker. You can't, and I'm going to talk to you from a trial strategist standpoint, you can't follow a David Pecker with like a Michael Cohen or a Stormy Daniels, right? The jury's mind will be blown. They're already exhausted and tired over, almost 3 days of David Pecker direct and cross-examination on day 8 of the trial. So what you do is if you're doing this right and you're building a momentum and credibility and authenticity with the jury as a prosecution team, you slide in somebody like Rhona Graff. Some people might be thinking, Rhona Graff's not even a household name in her own household. Why are we talking about Rhona Graff and who is she, Popok? Get to it. Rhona Graff is a more than 34-year executive assistant, senior vice president, and executive assistant to the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Been working for Donald Trump since the 80s and 90s. Everybody knows that she's the Trump whisperer. Everybody knows that she has always been Donald Trump's right-hand person. She was on Celebrity Apprentice. She was a judge in one of the beauty pageants. That's how close that relationship is. And she was subpoenaed and forced to testify against Donald Trump today. What did she do and what did she establish? I'll give it to you in 3 or 4 parts. 1, she laid the groundwork for the future testimony of Madeline Westerhaut. Madeline Westerhaut, another person you've never heard of, will play an important role. Executive assistant to Donald Trump, trained by Rhona Graff. She's going to be able to talk about the comings, the goings, the phone calls, the emails, the correspondence, and corroborate aspects of Michael Cohen's and David Pecker's testimony. And we got Rhona Graff being brought through forcibly by the prosecution to bolster, before she even takes the stand, the testimony of Madeline Westerhaut. Remember that name when she testifies. I'm going to remind you about this hot take. There's a reason that person was discussed over and over again in Rhona Graff's testimony. Did they expect from the prosecution that Rhona Graff was going to crap all over her 34-year boss, who she respect, loved working with, and all the other stuff that she said in cross-examination, soft cross-examination by Susan Nichols for Donald Trump? No. All they needed her to do was tell the truth and establish certain milestone events. There's the second reason Rhona Graff was called. There's an important set of dates after the election and before the inauguration in 2016 that matter to the prosecution and the prosecution's case. That is January 16th to 19th, 2017, just a day before the inauguration, when Donald Trump was doing his work and meeting people, writing checks in the Trump Tower in New York, scheduled by Rhona Graff. She needed to confirm the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th Donald Trump in New York, not in the White House, writing checks, right? Remember, this case and its 34 felony counts start with checks written to Michael Cohen to reimburse him for entering into with a shell or straw man transaction, a non-disclosure confidentiality agreement on behalf of his boss, Donald Trump, with Stormy Daniels as part of the Catch and Kill program. The more Rhona Graff can give to put Donald Trump in his chair in Trump Tower, the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th of January, that will pay dividends later in the prosecution's main case. When they return to those states in front of the jury and show them checks and correspondence and the testimony of Michael Cohen, remember, they also need to bolster and insulate Michael Cohen. And we know it's going to be the vigorous cross-examination of Michael Cohen and his criminal record and whether he has a vendetta or he's biased against Donald Trump because of his years and the fact that he went to prison because of Donald Trump. They're now laying the groundwork through innocent executives and vice presidents like Rhona Graff, making her against her will have to testify against Donald Trump. So the second thing, look at my recording studio. You don't think I worry about window treatments? You don't think I care about privacy? Look at the windows behind me. I need window treatments. And now finally, there's a better way to buy blinds and window treatments. It's called 3-Day Blinds. They're the leading manufacturer of custom window treatments in the US. And right now they're running a buy one, get one 50% off deal. We can shop for almost anything at home. Why not shop for blinds at home too? 3-Day Blinds has local, professionally trained design consultants who have an average of 10 years or more of experience that provide expert guidance on the right blinds for you in the comfort of your home. Just set up an appointment and you'll get a free, no obligation quote the same day. Not very handy? I'm not. The expert team at 3-Day Blinds handles all the heavy lifting. They design, measure, and install, so you can sit back, relax, and leave it to the pros. There's a better way to buy blinds and window treatments. It's called 3-Day Blinds. They're the leading manufacturer of custom window treatments in the U.S. 3-Day Blinds has been in business for 45 years, and you may not hear it in the name, but they make an incredibly high-quality product. That's why they are the highest rated blinds company on Trustpilot at 4.7 out of 5 stars. No matter your unique need, from motorization to home automation to room darkening or child safety, with 3-Day Blinds, you choose from thousands of options that fit any budget or style. And with actual samples, you won't be guessing about what your blinds will look like. Right now, you can get 3-Day Blinds, buy one, get one 50% off deal on custom blinds, shades, shutters, and drapery. For a free, no charge, no obligation consultation, just head to 3dayblinds.com/legalaf. That's buy one, get one 50% off when you head to 3dayblinds.com /legalaf. One last time, that's the number 3, DAY, blinds.com /legalaf. First was Madeline Westerhaut. Second is to establish Donald Trump in New York, January 16 through 19 of 2017. And the third was to establish that within a database that Rhona Graff kept on behalf of her boss, Donald Trump, there were 2 names with phone numbers and cell phone numbers. One of them was Karen McDougal, the Playboy playmate that had an affair with Donald Trump, who got the first would turn out to be the second catch and kill payment under this conspiracy created by Donald Trump in the Trump Tower conspiracy with Michael Cohen and David Pecker. Karen McDougal, who had an affair while Melania was pregnant with Barron. That's the timeline, by the way. That's not me being salacious. She got a $150,000 check. Her name is in the database for Trump Organization, with her phone numbers and multiple addresses. You know who else is there, according to Rhona Graff? Stormy Daniels, listed as Stormy Daniels. Okay? And when they asked her in direct examination, but really hostile direct examination by the prosecution, who called her as a witness, and they said, you know what Stormy Daniels does for a living? Or isn't she a porn star? I think they said an adult entertainment person. Later on, Susan Nicholas, the lawyer for Donald Trump, said she's a porn star, right? I don't know how that helps Donald Trump. Great. A porn star's name and phone number and contact information is in Donald Trump's Rolodex, his database of phone numbers at the Trump Organization. And then to corroborate in advance and to bolster the testimony of Stormy Daniels, who will be testifying in this case, they got Rhona Graff to say that she had seen Stormy Daniels in the reception area of Trump Tower, and she presumed it was because she was promised or was interviewing with Donald Trump over whether she was going to appear on The Celebrity Apprentice. Remember I'll tell you what Stormy Daniels has said in her documentary. She said that Donald Trump was toying with her and was using the promise of a Celebrity Apprentice appearance to get in her pants. I mean, I'm just putting it mild. I'm putting it my way. He used it to try to seduce her and tried to have sex with her. And now you have Rhona Graff, the 34-year vice president assistant to the president, saying that, yeah, I saw her in the lobby. We assume she was there for a Celebrity Apprentice, which will dovetail beautifully hand in glove with Stormy Daniels' own testimony in the next week or two. So they've got Madeline Westerhaut, who's going to obviously corroborate much of Michael Cohen's story. She's going to have to. You've got Rhona Graff giving it up on the database and the inclusion of Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, two people that Donald Trump was having sex with outside his marriage in his computer database. That's how brazen he was about his sexual misconduct outside of his marriage. He actually put poor Rhona Graff, gave her the phone numbers and had her put it in his database. Yuck. She didn't seem to have a problem with it. She was like, I don't really want to be here. When she was asked, I had to be subpoenaed. Supposedly when she was testifying, Donald Trump was like smiling at her, trying to curry favor, which the jury sees, by the way. We're back to the jury in the room. Donald Trump forgets that the authentic meter who can tell a fraud a mile away is the jury. They're in the room and they're watching the little horse and pony show between him and his longtime assistant, smiling. Oh. And then when she was going through other things like, this is the database, and this is the thumb drive, and this is the email, and yes, I trained Madeline Westerhaut. He's like fake sleeping or fake whatever he does in the courtroom. So that is why somebody who appears at first glance to be sort of a boring, run-of-the-mill witness, juries can almost flatline when they hear this information, later pays dividends as the prosecution cashes those checks later on to bolster the testimony of some other witnesses that might be, well, let's just say a little wobbly when they're done with their cross-examination. So we had that, right? And then finally, we had the testimony leading into she gave a little information, then led it to the next witness that ended the day, which is a First Republic bank. Yes, that bank is sort of still around, although I think it was acquired by Chase, but at one time had been Michael Cohen's bank, and that's where Michael Cohen took out the money to pay to Stormy Daniels for Donald Trump to enter into the NDA. And now we've concluded day 8 of the Trump trial. We'll pick it back up next week, Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday is going to be the ruling on the gag order and on the contempt hearing, where Donald Trump has been ordered to court. I think he's actually the judge because Trump complained so much, that snowflake, Donald Trump, about, I thought I was off next Wednesday. The judge is going to say, all right, come in on Tuesday. Order to show cause. Trump has to appear on Tuesday. Be there for when the judge throws the book at him on the contempt ruling. We'll cover it one place, all of that next week, here on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF. I love doing that show. It's Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's the leading podcast at the intersection of law and politics. Lawyers talking about things they know what they're talking about. At that intersection, how novel, how refreshing. Find out why we call it Legal AF and join us 8 p.m. Eastern Time right here on this YouTube channel. You knew that. You're already here. Free subscribe. Help MeidasTouch get to 3 million free subscribers. And then if you like what I'm doing, leave me a comment. We'll do a talk back. We'll open up a dialogue and give me a thumbs up. It really does help. I'm not just asking for it out of ego. I'm asking for it out of self-preservation. I want to continue to be on the air. And so then slide over. If you like my work, go over to the MeidasTouch Network playlists. Look for Michael Popok. You'll find my entire body of work. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.